Well, the Eagles have officially cut their roster from 90 down to 53. We'll go through the shockers and the ones that didn't really shock me. Also, Jonathan Taylor, the deal did not happen for anybody. Philadelphia yet to trade Derek Barnett, and they do make a trade for a tight end. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a roster cut Tuesday. Let's jump in everything happening with the Eagles roster, but start with the trade news first. It's official. No Jonathan Taylor for anybody. Adam Schefter has that the Indianapolis Colts did not find what it felt like was a fair value offer for Jonathan Taylor and is not trading its all-pro running back today. League sources tell ESPN. No trade materializing. Taylor is now expected to remain on the physically unable to perform list, making him ineligible to play the first 4 games of the season, end quote. And so while Philadelphia did sniff around, the reports are true. Philadelphia did make some phone calls. They might have even made a pretty legit offer, potentially a second-round draft pick. No trade was high enough for the Colts, and seemingly they've botched the whole Taylor situation, every single way they possibly could. They are not going to go ahead and get to trade him, and now he sits out for 4 games due to being on the PUP list, being injured. Will he play later? That remains to be seen, but no Jonathan Taylor, despite many Eagle fans very hopeful. Now, let's go over here to the trade that they made today for one Albert O, because his last name is very hard to say. The 2023 draft pick by the Philadelphia Eagles, by the Denver Broncos, is now a Philadelphia Eagle. Eagles Nation has this up on your screen. They got him and a 5th-round draft pick in 2025 in exchange for a 6th-round draft pick in 2025. So you really don't give up much. You give up a 6th to get a 7th and a player and a guy who will be their 3rd tight end on this roster, and they love him. I mean, they feel really strongly about him to the point they would make a trade for a 6'5", 258-pound tight end who ran a 4.49 at the combine, showed off his skills a little bit in the Denver's final preseason game. The Eagles simply did not want him to go to the waiver wire. They wanted to make sure they would get him, hence giving a draft pick not in 2024, but even further along in 2025. Okay, over here to who made the roster and who did not. Let's start with the players that did. Eli Ricks. He did make the Eagles roster. You see it there from Kendall Beck and Jeff Schultz. He has officially made the Eagles 53-man roster. The undrafted free agent cornerback who had unbelievable odds to make it. I mean, the Eagles are stacked at cornerback. They did not have a slot for him. He played well enough and proved that if you do play well, regardless of what position you're in, you will make the final roster. Big thumbs up. Give a thumbs up on this show. Let's get 1,000 likes for the fact that Eli Ricks is going to be an Eagle. Will he play a lot this year? Maybe not, but he is officially on the Eagles roster. Congrats to Eli Ricks. He definitely deserves it. Now, over here to players who did not make it. Let's start with, first off, Wallace. He officially has been let go, and he will be signing via the waiver wire with another football team based on multiple reports I have seen a little bit later this afternoon. He obviously started at times during the Eagles training camp, but Sidney Brown played too well. Justin Evans played pretty well at the same time. Reed Blankenship and Terrell Edmonds were always going to make this roster. He's the odd man out. No more Wallace. Nicholas Morrow, very similar situation. Started at times early on in training camp. Ellis was too good, Dean was too good, and the trade for Zach Cunningham, or the signing of Zach Cunningham, was basically the nail in the coffin for Morrow. They will keep younger players on the practice squad, like a Ben Van Sumeren, as we'll see, but Morrow is officially done. He will not be returning to Philadelphia. I think some other team will most likely pick him up on the waiver wire. If he does, it'll be on the practice squad and not on the active roster. Over here to Trey Sermon. The Eagles have released running back Trey Sermon, another of those big-name bubble players who I thought had a pretty good chance. I mean, it came down to Rashad Penny and Trey Sermon, and they go with Sermon. Penny has officially made the Eagles roster. Now, Sermon obviously is probably not going to clear waiver wires, although Jeff McClain says they will try to bring him back to the practice squad. But if they cannot bring him back, you have to feel confident in the Scott, the Sermon, the DeAndre Swift, and obviously Kenny Gainwell rotation. That is 4 running backs deep for this Eagles roster, and it's plenty deep enough. I like Trey Sermon. They just never used Trey Sermon, and they weren't going to use Trey Sermon even if they kept him on the roster, because Swift and Gainwell, mixed in Boston Scott twice a year against the Giants, was always going to take precedent over Trey Sermon. I hope he goes somewhere where he can blossom into a starting running back. I think he has potential to be a starting running back. It just will not be with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, let's go over here to another shocker. The Eagles don't have a punter. They let go of punter Aaron Siposs, and he is going to go ahead and potentially come back to the practice squad. We'll see how it does on waiver wires. But according to John Clark, the Eagles are going to bring in a few punters over the next couple of days to audition for the job. Will this be Matt Ariza? Will it be the punt god? I'm not sure. Philadelphia could have brought him in at any point during training camp after being cleared of the situation off the football field, but they didn't. So while a lot of people are going to say punt god, not necessarily going to happen, but they do need a punter, and it feels like Siposs could come back on a practice squad if they can't find anybody else during open trials the next couple of days. All right, let's get to some of the surprisers here. How about Britton Covey? He was officially released and could return, obviously, if he makes it to the practice squad, but the Eagles have released him from the punt job or the punt return position. Covey was consistent last year, but consistently not that crazy. I mean, what he was at Utah was fantastic, but what he was at Philadelphia was, someone who wouldn't muff the football, and that's basically all you wanted. But they like what they see from Ezekiel Zaccheaus. They like Boston Scott, and we'll see if they keep anybody else at that position going forward for the kick returns position. Speaking of kick returns, Devon Allen was also waived. I thought he had a chance, but as you look at the wide receiver room, they kept 4, no spot for Allen. They will try to go ahead and bring him back, according to Mike Garfolo, but you have to get to a point where other teams have seen the speed. Other teams might give him a better chance than the Eagles did. He only really had one nice return in the preseason in that Colts game on Thursday Night Football, but other than that, they didn't use him that much. Felt like they just weren't going to get him to that point. It's a bummer for a lot of us who thought he was going to be really, really good. That is not the case. He is not an Eagle as of today. We'll see if they bring him back to the practice squad. I'll have a full practice squad video tonight, tomorrow, whenever it's finalized. Be sure to subscribe and get a thumbs up for that. Greg Ward also let go. I want to mention this before we go ahead and get to the full list here. Greg Ward has had a great 6 years in Philadelphia, undrafted. Obviously, Carson Wentz's top target a couple of seasons ago. Writing again was on the wall. Savvy veteran, could do some punt returns, but they like Zaccheaus, they like Quez Watkins more. And the same goes for Devon Allen, same goes for Covey, Hasselwood, the rest of these, Ngata, the rest of these guys who were battling for the 5th spot. If there was going to be a 5th spot, when you're this loaded at wide receiver, a 5th spot doesn't make a lot of sense. The Eagles will bring some of these guys back to the practice squad. Greg Ward might make some sense there if other teams don't go ahead and claim him, but at the same time, you're looking at a situation where he just wasn't going to play a lot, and so why waste the active roster spot on him versus giving it to a guy like Eli Ricks, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, here's your official list. These are all the players who were released by the Philadelphia Eagles today in order. We'll go through each and every one of them. That way you can see. Devon Allen is gone. Quentin Bell is gone. Ian Brooks is gone. Kennedy Brooks, he is no longer a Philadelphia Eagle. Robert Cooper is gone. Covey is gone. Mekhi Gardner also was let go. Obviously had a chance to make this roster being drafted out of LSU. I think he comes back as a practice squad player. We will see. Julian Good-Jones, Jaden Hasselwood, Teron Jackson, Tyree Jackson, we saw that a couple of days ago, Kyron Johnson, Johnny Keene, Tyreek Maddox-Williams, Tristan McCullum, Nicholas Morrow, Joseph Ngata, Janarius Robinson, Tyrese Robinson, Brady Russell does not make this roster, all of Sagapulu, Caleb Saunders, Josiah Scott, interesting that he didn't make the roster, he was obviously on the roster last season, Josh Sills, Aaron Siposs, Freddie Swain, Ben Van Sumeren was let go, for people wondering about the linebacker spot, they will try to bring him back, and I think they will successfully to the practice squad, but he is officially gone. Obviously, there's Kayvon Wallace, Greg Ward, and Marvin Wilson. So for those of you wondering, Moro Jomo did make the Eagles' 53-man roster. We thought that he would, the D-tackle out of Texas this past draft, but it's official now. He has made the Eagles' final 53-man roster. All right, plenty more stuff happening the next couple of hours here on the Thomas Mott Show. Be sure to subscribe. This is your best one-stop shop for practice squad moves, but any moves that they make. I mean, Howie Roseman was at the podium just a couple of minutes ago upon filming this and said once they finish their press conference, they're going to be aggressive going out and looking at the waiver wire. Quarterbacks were let go by New England. There are players all over the NFL who need homes. The Eagles will make deals for these players. I'll have you covered for that, so make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe. Plenty more stuff happening, not just tomorrow, not just the next day, but the rest of the Eagles season. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.